Questions are growing this evening about the U.S. military role in Iraq and Syria, less than a week after an American soldier was killed in action against ISIS in northern Iraq. Are U.S. forces engaged in ground combat in the region? President Obama has repeatedly said no, but today his Secretary of Defense seemed to say otherwise. We get the story from our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel.
After American and Kurdish commandos stormed an ISIS prison in Iraq last week, freeing dozens of hostages, it was clear the U.S. had entered directly into combat yet again in the Middle East. It cost the life of Master Sergeant Joshua Wheeler.
To degrade and ultimately defeat ISIL.
Today, Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter couldn't have been more explicit. U.S. troops will be in combat against ISIS.
We won't hold back from supporting capable partners in opportunistic attacks against ISIL or conducting such missions directly, whether by strikes from the air or direct action on the ground.
But the president has said repeatedly,
the American forces that have been deployed to Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission.
The White House is treading a fine line, seeming to want it both ways, considering a wider role for U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria, while insisting so-called regular troops won't be in combat. Only small numbers of special ops forces will carry out, quote, direct action. But this is how wars can start, with a toe in the water.
I think the administration is confused about what's combat and what isn't combat. It doesn't matter if you're in a special operations force or a conventional force. If people are trying to kill you, you're in combat.
How did it happen? It evolved, of course. First, the U.S. tried to create a rebel army to fight ISIS, but the rebels trained, just dozens of them, ended up surrendering or being kidnapped by al-Qaeda. And allies, including Turkey and the Kurds, have their own agendas. So the U.S. is going against ISIS more directly, and it's a slippery slope. One death so far, and more dangerous missions coming.
So tonight, an apparent contradiction. The White House insists nothing has changed, no troops in combat, but the Pentagon also insists there'll be more troops engaging in direct action. Lester?
All right, Richard, thank you.